You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Well, hello there, and have I got something special for you today? Have you ever, as a woman in business, considered how your cycle could actually affect your productivity and your success as a business owner? I had never even thought that there was any sort of connection at all, and that's why today's interview with my special guest has absolutely blown my mind, and I can't wait for you to listen to the absolute amazing insights that she brings to us of what it's like really as a woman in business and how we can leverage this to our best advantage. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Now, I bet you can't wait to find out exactly what relevance your cycle has to how you're managing your business and what sort of success you have. Now, I cannot wait to bring you the interview I have for you today. And my special guest is Renae Fieck. She is an occupational therapist with, extensive education around the areas of children's development, working with mothers. She's a mother herself with 3 children, and throughout her own journey of working and raising her kids, she's found that there is a real power and energy in our cycles that allows us to create more space and alignment in our lives so that we can actually get more done with less effort by following the power of our cycle and really leaning into it and going with the flow, for want of a better word. She says it allows you to create space for what you enjoy and to be able to excel at the times where we really are geared to excelling. And yes, it does mean, ladies, that there are important times for rest and re-energizing, which many of us just aren't doing. So she has got some real gems to share with us today. I encourage you to listen to this interview and take this on board, really understand what you can work out about your own self and look for the signs that, like I did when I was speaking to her, that I recognized that this is so true. It is exactly as she explains it. And just having that knowledge, the power in that knowledge is almost like a complete game changer. I've even changed the dates for launches of my big programs so that I'm leaning into those times during the month where I'm going to be operating at my absolute best. And I encourage you to think about this and do the same. So without further ado, let me play this interview for you because nobody can explain it better than Renae herself. Okay, and welcome. I'm here right now with Renae Fieck, who is a coach for women. She specifically focuses on how we can better use our cycles to be more successful in our business, which I am incredibly fascinated about because, to be honest, I know absolutely nothing about how my cycle affects my life, my day, my energy, productivity, or anything like that. So, Renae, would you be able to give us a little bit of a better introduction into, who you work with, what you actually do, and we can learn some more about this?
Yeah, well, I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I love talking about this because it has been so transformative for me and then also so many of the clients that I've worked with. So what I discovered probably 5-6 years ago was I was in a mastermind and they were talking about your cycle and how it impacts your body. And it's been this thing that I've had kind of using but not fully in the background of my business and my life. And the more I started sharing with it in my clients, with my clients and in my programs, people were like, oh my gosh, why are we never taught this? Right? Like just like what you said, nobody knows. So
Yeah.
that is now what I do in helping really ambitious women leverage their cycle and use it to their advantage rather than feeling like it's this dreaded once a month sort of thing that you have to just put up with. It really becomes a superpower that you have, and really embracing that feminine body in building your business rather than having to feel like you have to strive and push and grind in this more masculine sort of industry that we experience, to really bring that feminine strength in and see it as that strength rather than seeing it just as this weakness. So that's who I've been working with, is really helping ambitious business owners and really helping them increase their business, increase that productivity. But at the same time, what I've found is that most of those women are already super productive and super successful. They're just exhausted doing it. So this brings in that ability to still perform at that high level, but feel really balanced and feeling really aligned in the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
That has blown my mind, because I think that we've grown up feeling like it's such a limitation. You know, we have a cycle and it's like, oh, the dreaded cycle. Everything about it has been, I guess, negative in what we think and we say. And it's just been that annoyance, hasn't it? And I guess people have really used it as an excuse, as a crutch, as something that we have, you know, I guess back in the days where I worked in corporate, you know, people would use that as an excuse more often than not, right? It was like a bad thing that's happened for me, woe is me. And here you are saying, well, actually, it doesn't have to be a limitation. We can actually tune into it and use it much more, like our whole cycle, as a real benefit to us, which I think is such a fantastic mindset flip in how we actually think about it. And, you know, I think I'm excited to know a bit more, because having our own business, obviously we are in control of how we run our business and in control of our schedule. And we don't have to be locked into this patriarchal sort of workplace society that we have been used to, maybe back in our days where we did work in jobs that have, you know, that work day was created by men. Nothing against that, of course. It's just history and it's how it's evolved. But we're now in a really strong place as women, as owners of our own business, to take control of our day, our week, and our month, by the sound of it. So please tell me more. And
it's one of those things, like even you highlighted, is that the masculine way is not necessarily a bad way, right? Like it works for men and it works really well. And many women have been successful using and living in that masculine sort of space. But women are different. So rather than seeing it as one being better or the other, it's just this interplay of, let's bring in the feminine piece too. It works well for the feminine. And I think oftentimes the feminine side was seen as the weaker side. And what I'm proposing is that it's no longer the weaker side, that it is actually your strength. So a big part of it and how it kind of evolved, I believe, is more of like testosterone, which is men's predominant hormone. It has this daily cycle. So it starts really high in the morning. It waxes and wanes. They have these ups and downs as it is rhythmic throughout the day. And then it gets to the end of the day and it's at its low point and they go to sleep. They wake up the next morning. They've got a fresh dose of testosterone and they're ready to start the day over again, right? And so women living in that rhythm start to feel like they're on this hamster wheel of just like the day in over and over and over again, because women don't have testosterone as their predominant player. We've got estrogen and progesterone. And estrogen is much more dominant in the front end of your cycle. And then as you ovulate, progesterone kicks in and progesterone kicks in. So estrogen has this high level of focus, high level of brain clarity, get stuff done, has high level of like outward energy sort of stuff. And then the progesterone is your dominant pregnancy hormone, right? Like it helps sustain a baby. So it has a lot more of those like inward nesting, slow down type of feelings and energies. And so even looking at just those two big players, just looking at that, as simple as that, you can see that we're not like men. We don't wake up with this fresh dose of high intense energy in the morning every single day and then go to bed and get a reset. Like ours shifts and changes. So this Monday or this Tuesday that we're on today or Wednesday or whatever day it is not the same as next week. And then the week after, like the amount of energy and focus and how your body is able to show up is completely different. And yet we're scheduling based on that 24-hour reboot of testosterone every day.
Yes. Oh my goodness. This just makes so much sense to me. And you're so right. We are in this place where it's robotic. And I've definitely felt all those things. I've felt tired, worn out, like I'm on a hamster wheel. I think you get frustrated with it. You think, oh, something's wrong. You probably think I need to change jobs because I'm just not enjoying this. You get a new job, what happens? The same thing. And then, obviously in my own business, it hasn't been nearly as frustrating because I'm very passionate about what I do. And, I am pumped and motivated. But I do find, and this is really explained in just a couple of minutes, some funny things that have happened. Like recently I was like, okay, I'm just done with my bathroom. We're in a house that we want to knock down, but I cannot live with this any longer until we knock it down because it's another year. And so I was like, right, I'm going to the shop. I bought some paint for tiles and I got busy. I painted the bathroom, vanity bench top and the shower, and people were like, are you pregnant? Are you nesting? And I was like, no, I'm not. I just really needed to do this.
Yes.
And now I understand why. That probably was because I was at that point in the cycle where I was really, and actually, no, it was because I can think back to the dates. It was in that later part of the cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it's even, so looking at like your business, right? So oftentimes I've talked to clients and they'll say, like, why is it that I sit down and I try to write this landing page or get it all out? And there's times where it feels like it's almost effortless, right? The content comes, the copy flows, everything's just flowing and it feels really good. And other times it's that writer's block and it's taking forever to get it done and you just can't, and you keep restarting or flipping a million different tabs and having a hard time staying focused. And a lot of that is also just purely when you're supposed to be doing different tasks. So looking at your content production, looking at your client load, looking at all of those different things from this lens of where is my body optimized right now and how can I put my energy in that space of where my body is at is going to help you get more content out faster. It's going to be more engaging, more magnetic, all of those different types of things than when you're trying to just hustle and grind your way through it, right? Like I've got this list. I've got stuff to get done. I was actually just talking about earlier with some of my clients is that I have a launch coming up in February and I'm trying so hard to get all the content written and I was trying to get it ready for a copy coach review call and it's not my optimum time to be writing, but I was still making myself do it to try to get that thing checked off. And it was like, it's so frustrating because I know I can write so much better than I'm writing right now. And I'm trying so hard and it's taking me so long that I know if I wait and do it after the copy coach call and just do it when I'm in that zone, it'll be so much easier. So even looking at those little things about how we're structuring the way we plan our content and how we create content or what we're doing inside of our business, all of those types of things can flow so much easier when things like that, when you just get the surge of like, I've got to remodel my bathroom, was probably very predictable if you knew that that was there and you're like, that's why I was feeling that way.
Yeah.
So it's rather than operating in retrospect, it's operating with it in the planning phase.
Excellent. And so I'm thinking that means things that are strategic or, when you're needing to do that really high level thinking that's quite creative, that's when you want to be looking at the start of your month. Is that right? When you're kind of in that flow. And then what are the good things to be doing when you're in the second half of the month, when you're in the nesting zone? I'm like, I can probably find heaps of stuff not on my business to do, but if I'm looking at a smarter way to schedule, the work that I do in the business and when I can do it, if I have that ability to not do it today, like it's not urgent, what are the kind of things that would be ideal to do at that second half?
Yeah. So I break down the month into 4 distinct different phases. So your first phase would be the time when you actually start bleeding. So that first 3 days, I call it the recharge phase. Like, it is really geared towards recharging and thinking about it kind of like the Tesla, which goes from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds flat. But it all runs on battery. If that battery is not charged, is it going to go anywhere? Or is it going to not then accelerate, right? So your recharge comes right before your accelerate phase. So really looking at when you start bleeding to allow yourself that space to really recharge. Maybe it looks like getting off of social media for those 3 days. Maybe it looks like not doing the dishes, not doing the laundry, ordering takeout, going for walks. Like, sometimes I've noticed some clients really like resting and doing nothing, and others need to be more active, but still the whole focus is on recharging. So looking at those first few days is like, what does my body need to recharge? And it may change month to month. So really getting in tune with what do you need right now? So that's the first 3 days. And then the second half of that first week, I still call it the recharge, but that second half, you're in this more planning mode. So you're coming out of this like, oh, I'm just so tired and I don't have much energy, to, okay, I'm starting to feel good. I'm starting to feel like I can plan things, but I'm not ready quite to take all the action. So the days 4 through 7, that's what that's geared towards. Mapping out your month, mapping out your schedule, making sure everything's aligned. You know what's coming. You got all the brain dump stuff on paper, and then you hit your accelerate phase. So the accelerate phase is from that end of that first week until you ovulate, or kind of right up until right before you ovulate. And that is the prime time that most people really love, because you feel really productive. You feel really great. You're checking off the to-do list, that you get a big idea, and it feels good to start taking action and getting that big project going. And then, so it feels really high energy, but it's a lot of outward energy, a lot of doing outward sorts of things. And then when you hit towards ovulation, and the couple days before and the couple days after, call it the connect phase. So that's your phase when you are the most magnetic, you're the most radiant, the most attractive, the most engaging in your communication, and the most articulate. So that would be when you would want to schedule in those live trainings, or your presentations, or, your networking events, or scheduling a photo shoot, or you're getting your hair done, like anything in that sort of a space, because biologically you're trying to attract a mate. So you're going to be the most attractive in your business. And then you enter into your reflect phase. And your reflect phase is what people oftentimes characterize as the PMS phase, but that's your more moody sort of space. Now, like you noted, it can also be a very high intense productive sort of phase, but it's a much more inward phase. So you'll find that lots of people will do lots of house projects. You'll do getting lots of organization, decluttering, clearing out your desk, clearing out your email, all of those types of real admin, detail-oriented sorts of tasks. They're not usually initiating like new projects, but it's a lot of how can I get my house and my space in a place that makes me feel good. It can also be that's your prime time to write your content, because because of those emotions and because of that in-depth sort of empathy sort of field that you have, you're going to be able to relate to your audience better. You're going to let those words are going to flow out of you so much easier. It's a great time to journal, let all those things surface and kind of bubble out, and let go of anything that wasn't serving you in that month prior. And then you start back into that recharge phase, and the cycle kind of continues. So each month you have this opportunity to then up level that which you're learning and growing from the month before. So does that kind of answer your question in terms of like what you could be doing in each of those different spaces?
That is incredible. And I'm just sitting here as you're talking, reflecting on times that I've felt like I've just felt frustrated that I wasn't organized enough with, I'm like, I really need to get my asana in order and sort out the dates and the schedule. And then that kind of urgency to do that, if it goes away, like sometimes I don't get to it because I'm doing other things. And then all of a sudden it's like, that's not such a big issue anymore. And I'm like, this probably explains why I might have been in that phase and been feeling like I need to get organized and get things in order and feeling frustrated that it's not. But then I move into the next one and my focus has changed. My energy has changed. Yeah. Amazing. This is just so incredible. So insightful.
Yeah. And it makes such a difference. I feel like one of the other big things I've noticed is one, a lot of women business owners, especially mom business owners, feel really guilty about juggling all of the different parts of life, right? They feel like they're not giving enough attention to all of these different areas. And then they don't feel like they can ever take a break because they're trying to keep their business and their life and everything afloat. And so this letting go, like knowing that each thing in your life has a time and a space that you're more optimized for, that has really helped a lot of women let go of that guilt. There's like, you know what? This is my recharge week. I don't care if I don't do the dishes or the laundry or the whatever. So like it gives that permission of like, it's not you that can't handle it. It's that this is the way your body was biologically set up. So rather than it being something about like, oh, you're just not able to handle it, it's just too much for you, why can you not keep it together? It's like, no, this is just my body. This is what my body's doing. I can let go of this and this is no big deal. And then that goes back into that same idea of like, there's always one week of the month that I feel like I want to burn my business down and let it go. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I feel like I'm failing at my business. I'm failing at motherhood. I'm failing at everything. Like it comes up nearly every month, right? But because I know that that's where I'm at and I know that that's part of the cycle, it allows me to address and like, this is just a feeling. This is not who I am. I'm not a horrible business owner. I'm not a horrible mom. I'm not a horrible person. This is just the feeling I'm experiencing right now because I have all of these emotions. So how can I use these feelings, process them, let them go, do whatever I need to do with them, but not take it on as a part of who I am. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing is like every month they hit that cycle, they hit that phase, and then there's like another layer of a limiting belief or a thought or something that then becomes laid into their identity rather than this is just a feeling I'm experiencing because of the way my body is functioning right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful because I absolutely see it. Like I work with women as well. And it is that, having that thought, that guilt, like, oh, I should be doing this, but I'm not, or I'm so tired, or I can't, and it's like we're sitting there berating ourselves that we're not able to do something that we feel that we should be able to. Why am I finding it so hard? There must be something wrong with me. All of that stuff. And it really becomes, like you say, we attach it then to our identity. It turns into imposter syndrome. We feel like we're not who we thought we were or who we should be. And, all of this stuff, like I've got all this experience. So why am I then finding it so hard? It's like, you still are just as intelligent, just as experienced. You have all of that. You might be finding it hard just because it's, the natural cycle and it's not your fault. It doesn't mean anything about you. And hey, give it a couple of days, you'll bounce back, right? That's amazing. And I think that this is going to be such a helpful episode for anyone listening, and certainly that's something I feel is imprinted in my mind forever now, and it's going to give so much insight. So
it does. It just gives so much permission, right? Like it gives I had a client recently, she sent me a message and she's like, hey, I decided I wasn't going to do XYZ, right? We had a mutual coach that was really pushing towards the end of the year to hit the end of the year strong, right? She was saying like, go strong, push hard, don't let up at the last little bit of the year. And she was telling me, we were talking about the seasons and the cycles that we have even seasonally. Like our seasons operate very similar to our cycles, our menstrual cycles as well. And so I was telling her, I'm like, if you're not feeling that urge, if you're not feeling that desire to push hard at the end of the year, then don't do it. Like, that's not where biologically and rhythmically we're at right now. At the end of the year, you should be winding down. You should be focused on recharging and getting yourself ramped up for your spring season, not necessarily hitting the ground running and ending the year strong. So if it doesn't feel aligned with you, then trust that. And so she did. She was like, I'm not going to run these trainings. And later she was like, just the permission to do that, because that's not where my cycle and my rhythm was so freeing. And I think more people, need to hear that. Like more women need to know, like there's not one way to run a business. There's not one way to build a business. And it really is about learning to trust yourself and learning to trust what your body needs. Because if you run your body to the ground, your business and your family are going to suffer. Like nobody's going to be in a good place. So
I totally agree. And I'm going to say something that may sound controversial. It's nothing against men at all, but I have had some clients who've had some incredible stories about advice that they've been given from male coaches. And, for instance, one of them that just came to mind of like, this is such a masculine driven energy. He was like, to make sales, you need to ring, get on the phone and contact 10 people a day. And she was like, I just can't even imagine doing that. And well, firstly, I don't agree with that approach at all. I was like, yeah, sure. If you want to spend your whole life on the phone having sales calls with people who don't actually want to speak to you because they're not in their place, then fine, go ahead. But that's not really the most effective way to get clients. But that is a masculine energy. Like I can just see it straight away. His idea was, this has worked for me. I get up every day and I'm like a machine. I do the work, bang, 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 bang. Then I go to sleep. Then I get up. Then I do the same thing. And it's like this daily rhythm. And of course it's not going to feel the same for her. And, beside the fact, like I said, I don't think it's very effective, but it wouldn't work the same for her either way, because she's not in that same place, totally different energy. Some days you might feel that real connection, and doing some reach out to people might be a great thing to do when you're in that attraction phase. But I can imagine when you're not, it's probably not going to have much effect. And so you're just wasting your time and energy on something that's not going to work.
Right. And for me, and I don't know about for you, but one of the big reasons I built my business is because I wanted the freedom to enjoy my life and live my life the way I wanted it to live, right? And not the freedom of like one day, someday, when I've reached all these massive goals, and then I'll be happy and enjoy my life. Like I want to enjoy today, right? Like I want what I'm doing right now to feel good and be able to sustain my future. I don't want to have to pick one or the other. And I think that there is that mentality, and maybe it does fall from that more masculine, of hustle and work really hard right now for the someday down the road that's going to give you that freedom. And I felt like that's what was so disconnected for me. That same idea of like, reach out to 3 new people every single day, build these relationships, do these connections. I'm like, this is exhausting. I can't do this. And so for me,
and that sounds like, kill me now, please, doing the same thing every day. I would just be like, I would last like 3 days and that would be it.
So much. And for me, that's why I really attracted to this launch style, right? And you think about a launch and you think about your cycle and how there is this time of doing more of the planning and the inward sorts of things and the tasks. And then you have this big, massive production, right? You're putting all this energy, all this outward energy, And then you have the time to rest and recuperate after the launch, right? And
Yes.
so you can have those moments and those extreme sorts of outward energy sort of producing things, but then you have to recharge. And so that's where I think the model of like what you just talked about, that idea of reach out to somebody and talk to somebody and have these sales calls all of the time is so exhausting for women, is because there is rarely that recharge. It rarely has, it's that same hamster wheel over and over and over again without this ramp up and then recharge. And I think that is what women are really more designed to do, is have some outward focus, energy, push out, do whatever, create big things, but then recharge and recuperate and learn from it and then do it again.
Yeah. And I'm so 100% with you. You know, the reason I started my business, I was pretty much told by my boss that I couldn't be a mum and have the flexible lifestyle, have a career, have it all at once. And I just thought, why not? Why can't I have it all? I haven't lost my brain when I had a child. I don't need to wait until they're older to switch back onto work mode. I'm like, I am focused when I'm working. I'm focused. I've got all of my intelligence, all my experience. None of it is gone. But, you know, I was way more in tune with what I wanted to be spending my time doing. And it was like, the other things in my life are just so important as well. It's not just about work anymore. And so I wasn't fitting into their mold of like the worker bee that wants to come in and spend 8 to 10 hours at the desk, go home, eat, sleep, get up, do it again tomorrow. Like that wasn't what I really wanted anymore. And I'm like you, where I was like, well, why can't I create a business where I can have that lifestyle right from the beginning, and I can grow the success and I can achieve more and more. But it's like the lifestyle's the reason I'm doing it in the first place. So I'm doing it. I've had it since I began. I'm doing it today. I'm having the lifestyle that I want. And I've always got new business goals and things that I'm reaching for. But I'm not forgetting that the main purpose of me doing it is to be living like I am today, which is, you know, working part-time hours, enjoying time with the kids, having time for myself as well, and all of those things. And we can always just aim to have more of the business success to reach, you know, higher levels of lifestyle that we're looking for, which is like a journey, isn't it? Because, of course, as soon as we get to one milestone, you're going to set a new one and you're going to set another one and another one. So I can see so much how this is really aligned with, you know, maybe that missing key to a level of success that we haven't even thought about having before. And I'm loving the idea of it because, yes, I do launches as well, but I am a really hard boss on myself, and I drive myself to be, you know, I feel like, oh, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing this, and I'll schedule in lots of stuff. And then I sometimes always think, why do I always overcommit and try to do too much, because I just feel so exhausted? And you've just answered that question of why, because I'm not giving myself a chance to step off the pedal and take a rest and just take a little break and maybe think more about how my cycle is and actually look at it instead of it just happening to me, right?
And that's huge because that's what so many other women are experiencing too. It's like, I've asked people and they're like, I don't know, when did it happen? You know, like, I don't know. Nobody's tracking it. So that's just bringing that awareness to it. You will start to notice those patterns, and you'll start to notice like, that is how it kind of lines up. And, oh, that is interesting. And, you know, and then you can get to that level or that point of like, now it has its own Google Calendar in my calendar. So before I schedule anything or I plan anything, I know where I potentially am going to be, right? Because your cycle can fluctuate and change. You know, you never know 100%, but I know roughly where I will likely be.
Yes.
And so in my scheduling software, nobody can schedule anything in that week when I need to recharge. My schedule is only manually controlled by me. So if I do a podcast or anything like that and somebody's trying to get on my schedule, like nothing will schedule on that week. And so I think when I get to that week and there's nothing on there, it's like this breath of fresh air to be able to like, oh, I can actually take a break. And it's simple. It's not something that you have to do a lot of extra work to do, but then you have one week in your month that's lighter, that feels refreshing, that gives you that space to breathe and process, so that then you can hit the next rest of the month hard, right? So just even looking at that for you, even if that's the one step you take away from today, is start to pay attention to it, and then give yourself those 3-4 days off of nothing in that space. Even that, just that little bit of recharge, I think will change so much for you.
So incredible. And so if anyone's listening and thinking, I love the sound of this and I'd really like to learn more or reach out and work with you, I guess, what's the kind of way that they do work with you? How does that work, and how can they find you?
Yeah. So I have a download that you can download that has 3 ways that your cycle is impacting your business. So you can go through that. It has my tracker in the end of it too. So you can see how you can track your cycle, and not just, hey, am I bleeding or not, but like, what does that energy level look like? What am I feeling? What's my brain feel like? Am I feeling super creative? And so there's a space for you to kind of track all that kind of stuff and start to pick out those patterns and start to notice that. And then, so that is at reneefieck.com/cyclesyncbiz. And I'm sure you can have that linked
I'll link that up for you.
Yep. The other place is the podcast, is the Cycle Advantage. So you can find us over there. And then Instagram is the other place I really love to hang out. It's just my first and last name, Renae Fieck, over there. Depending on when this comes out, I'm not sure, but we will have a live training series in the middle of February. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Excellent. Well, I think this will be airing just before that, so I'll get that out for you. And yeah, if you're listening now, as it just has been released, then please jump over to Renae's website. I've got the links for you in the show notes, so please get over and join her live training, because I think that sounds like an incredible, so much incredible value, and that you could take away from that. And really learn something more about yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe I've got to the age of 43 before I've even learned any of this. It's amazing. Thank you.
You're not the only one. I hear it so often. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Renae. And thank you everyone for listening.
Hey, it's Jessica here. So I've got a bit of a truth bomb for you. And this is the reality of pretty much every single person who's ever worked in marketing and communications. We're pretty great at marketing other people's or brands, products and services, but terrible at marketing ourselves. Am I right? So I had major struggles with this in my corporate days. It was like, how could they not see the value we're bringing to the business? The sales team doesn't even have to do anything to sign a new client because our marketing is so awesome. But I didn't know how to explain it, how to identify and promote our value. And to be honest, I avoided doing this kind of promotion in fear of being seen as some big-headed, arrogant, salesy person. So it's not really all that surprising that self-promotion is the biggest struggle for us when we head into business for ourselves, is it? We all know that we need to have effective marketing to attract 5-star clients, be able to sell premium services so that, you have the easy, thriving business where you can work just the hours you want. But how can you expect to attract those 5-star clients if you don't know your unique value and how to align your service offering so that you stand out to them as the obvious choice? When you're stuck in the freelancer zone, hiring out your time by the hour to the highest bidder, and, let's be honest, most of the time just taking whatever soul-sucking work comes along and pricing it so low, you're a million miles away from achieving the earnings that you could get. Then you're costing yourself the opportunity to be not only inspired and excited by your work on a daily basis, but also finally becoming a respected authority in your market where you have a consistent stream of 5-star clients lining up to work with you. Now, building authority and aligning your service offering around your unique value is the easiest way to stand out and be the obvious choice for those 5-star clients so that you can achieve the thriving business where you're working less and earning more. Look around you. Did the mentors that you look up to get to the top of the market by being the low-cost leader, churning out high volumes of low-price service? Of course not. They know their value, and their one-to-one service is a premium offering. Sure, they might offer some low-cost digital products, but they've got a service model designed to maximize profit with their minimal time of theirs invested. So I'm ready to dish it all up for you on a plate. Join me for my free 3-part live series. It's called Master Your Marketing, and you'll discover the 5 ingredients to aligning your message and your offering around your unique value so that you're working with 5-star clients, attracting them easily, growing profits, and ultimately enjoying real flexibility in your life to spend time doing whatever matters most to you. Head over to jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing to register now and make sure that you don't miss out on this live series. I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait to bring it to you. When I ran this last year, I had people saying comments like, wow, light bulbs are going off. I love this. And, you've given me so much to think about. So you don't want to miss this. Master Your Marketing is starting on the week of 20th of February. So mark your calendars right now and make sure you register. The place to register again is jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing. And get in there and register. Even if it's already started, you can still register. You can still get access to the replays, to the workbook, and get involved in the whole series. It's happening for the whole week and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you've got it in your calendar. Mark it right now. 20th of February, that's the Sunday, so the week of is when this live series is running. And I really can't wait to get involved with you. It's going to be interactive. There'll be lots of fun. So come and join me online and let's master your marketing this year.